When Jill Abbott returns to Genoa City, a fight for control starts. City of Genoa had always, welcome to my channel, been a battleground for ambition and power, but few were able to upend things as much as Jill Abbott when she returned to town. Her mere presence sent shockwaves through the corporate world, leaving many wondering what storm she was about to bring. Her abrupt return was anything but a simple visit. There were family matters to attend to, business to handle, and old enemies lurking in the shadows. Although Jill had been closely monitoring Chancellor Winters from a distance, recent developments compelled her to intervene before things got out of hand. Her son Billy Abbott had taken a risk by using her voting shares to unseat co-CEO Lily Winters. He had justified the move as being in the best interests of the business. But Jill wasn't entirely convinced because Billy's impetuous behavior had frequently gotten him into trouble, and she was afraid that this might be another one of those times. Careless actions that would backfire. But Billy's choice was only the beginning because of the internal turmoil. Victor Newman had been circling Chancellor Winters like a shark that smells blood in the sea. He saw a chance to take control and had taken calculated steps to establish himself as the final victor. Jill became even more motivated to reclaim the reins before he strengthened his hold on them after promises were made. Alliances were changing, and Victor's participation, the legacy of her family when Jill returned to town. She soon discovered that there were more issues awaiting her than the ones at Chancellor Winters. A name from her past had reappeared, M. Johnson. For years, M had been the trusted Abbott housekeeper, but Jill had never seen her as just that. Instead, she had always thought M was more. Jill didn't know that M had been quietly working behind the scenes to assert her own stake in Chancellor Winters. But she was more than just an employee in the Abbott household. She was a powerful figure who had always been too involved in John Abbott's life for Jill's taste. Their rivalry had been simmering for decades. When Jill discovered that M had made an unannounced investment in the firm, she became enraged. It wasn't just business, it was personal. M had previously been a pain in her side, and now she was reestablishing herself as a powerful figure in a company that Jill had worked so hard to defend. Was this some long overdue retaliation, a calculated business move, or just a calculated move? Whatever the cause, as Jill barged into the Chancellor Winters' offices, M was there waiting, radiating the same serene confidence that had always annoyed Jill, and their showdown was certain to happen. Sharp words were exchanged between the two ladies. Their long-standing conflict escalates into a full-fledged struggle of wills. M made it clear that she wasn't going anywhere, and Jill wasn't going to back down. It was a corporate war of experience versus strategy, history versus ambition. But Jill wasn't just fighting old battles. She also had to deal with the mess Billy had made. She loved her son, but his propensity to act without thinking had caused problems once more. She knew Billy's heart was in the right place and that he wanted to do what was best for Chancellor. But she also knew that his motivations were frequently clouded by personal struggles. She sat Billy down and tried to reason with him, warning him about the risks of becoming embroiled in a conflict with Victor Newman and the possible repercussions of his actions. Billy listened, but it's unclear if he would follow his mother's advice. Jill had worked in the corporate world for years and had faced Victor more times than she could count. She knew how dangerous he could be when he set his sights on something, and at this point that something was their company. Long ago, Jill discovered that Billy was his own worst enemy and that, in certain cases, no amount of knowledge or caution could prevent him from making his own errors. In the meanwhile, Jill had to manage the changing power dynamics between Chancellor Winters, the Abbotts, and the Newman family. Devin Hamilton was another important player who had his own worries about the way things were being handled, and Lily, who was still in shock at her expulsion, wasn't going to slip into the background quietly. Jill had to determine precisely how to play her next move, evaluate her friends, and identify her opponents. Jill Abbott never gave up easily, and this time was no exception. She had come back to Genoa City not only to put out fires, but also to reclaim her position at the top of the table. She wasn't going to let Victor Newman take anything from her. She wasn't going to let M. Johnson undercut her authority. And she most definitely wasn't going to let Billy's careless choices endanger everything she had worked so hard to achieve.